In a small, remote village nestled in the shadow of the Himalayas, there lived a boy named Arjun. The village was poor, with no electricity, no running water, and no school. The children spent their days helping their parents in the fields or tending to livestock. Education was a luxury they couldn't afford, but Arjun dreamed of something more. Arjun was only 12 years old when he first saw a school. His father had taken him to the nearest town to sell their harvest, and there it was, a small, bustling building filled with children in crisp uniforms, laughing and learning. Arjun stood outside the gates, watching in awe as the teacher wrote on a chalkboard and the students raised their hands to answer questions. "What is this place?" Arjun asked his father. "It's a school," his father replied. "This is where children go to learn." Arjun's eyes sparkled with curiosity. "Can I go to school too?" His father sighed, placing a hand on Arjun's shoulder. "We can't afford it, son. Besides, who will help me in the fields?" Arjun nodded, but deep down, he made a promise to himself. One day, he would bring a school to his village. Arjun's determination was unmatched. Every evening, after working in the fields, he would sit under the light of a kerosene lamp and teach himself to read and write using an old, tattered book he had found in the town. He practiced writing letters in the dirt with a stick and counted stones to learn math. The other children in the village noticed Arjun's efforts and began to gather around him. "What are you doing?" they asked. "I'm learning," Arjun replied. "And I'll teach you too." Soon, Arjun had a small group of students. They met under the shade of a large banyan tree, using sticks and stones as their tools. Arjun taught them everything he knew, from the alphabet to simple arithmetic. The children were eager to learn, and their parents were amazed at the progress they were making. Word of Arjun's tree school spread, and people from neighboring villages came to see the boy who was teaching without a teacher. But not everyone was supportive. Some villagers scoffed, saying, "What's the point of learning? These children will grow up to be farmers anyway." Arjun ignored the naysayers. He knew that education was the key to a better future. But he also knew that a tree wasn't enough. The children needed a proper school, a place where they could learn without fear of rain or heat. One day, Arjun decided to take matters into his own hands. He gathered the children and their parents and shared his vision. "We need a school," he said. "A real school with walls and a roof. And we can build it ourselves." The villagers were skeptical. "Where will we get the materials? Who will teach the children?" Arjun had an answer for everything. "We can use mud and stones from the river. We can make bricks and build the walls ourselves. And I'll keep teaching until we find a proper teacher." His determination inspired the villagers. They agreed to help, and soon, the entire village was working together. The men gathered materials, the women cooked meals for the workers, and the children helped carry stones and mix mud. It took months of hard work, but finally, the school was complete. It wasn't fancy, just a small, one-room building with a thatched roof, but it was theirs. Arjun stood at the entrance, tears in his eyes, as the children filed in for their first lesson. Word of the village's efforts reached the town, and soon, a teacher volunteered to come and teach at the school. The government also took notice, providing books, desks, and even a solar panel to power a single light bulb. Years later, Arjun stood in front of the school he had built, now a thriving institution with over 100 students. He had gone on to study in the city, earning a degree in education, and had returned to his village to teach. The children who had once gathered under the banyan tree were now doctors, engineers, and teachers, thanks to Arjun's determination. "I didn't do this alone," Arjun said, addressing the village during a celebration of the school's 10th anniversary. "We did this together. And this school is proof that no dream is too big if you're willing to work for it." Arjun's story spread far and wide, inspiring countless others to believe in the power of education and community. The school he built became a symbol of hope, not just for his village, but for the entire region. And every time a child walked through the doors of that school, they were reminded of the boy who dared to dream, and the village that came together to make that dream a reality.